Hello everyone, and welcome back to Buried. We're going to do chapter 2, and just so that we can maintain a sense of me making actual decisions, I will be going through my reasoning for the important ones at the end of the chapter. So, quickly to recap, respect the dead. I and 36% of players left Tony's body where you found it. Seemed dangerous to move it. Secrets. You and 76% of players were up front with Dennis about Tony's death. Once again, seemed kinda wrong to hide it. You and 55% told Dennis you believed his story. Well, there was already some strange shit going on, might as well. You and 75% of players went to investigate the ringing sound. I know how games work. Teamwork. You and 36% of players decided to leave Dennis behind. I'm surprised that number isn't higher, considering that Dennis was, well, wounded, everything else. To me, it would have made sense to leave him behind, simply for that reason, because he was wounded. But we will begin chapter 2. We're standing on a thin platform of what looks like a fancy subway. The rails look well used, but not old. There are small overhead lights that are very dim, as if they are running on emergency power. The dim overhead lights are a blessing, but the size of the place makes me feel vulnerable. Staring ahead, the tunnel seems to be endless. It's almost dizzying. There's a small light further ahead, and then a space that breaks the monotony of the tunnel's curved surface. Another platform, maybe. This understanding comes with a very strong sense of trespassing. I am definitely not supposed to be here. Do I call out, "Hello? Anyone there?" Or do I stay silent? I will stay silent. I keep my mouth shut. I don't understand what kind of situation I'm in, so there's no need to alert whoever might be here. The reality of what I am seeing is sinking in. Whatever this place is, it reaches way underground. That seems impossible to me, making anything that's on the other side of this tunnel dangerous as far as I'm concerned. But of course I'm going to go on. Human curiosity is going to see to that. Also, the ringing noise is louder down here. It's much more solid now, and there's some other sound. Something like a faint hum of machinery. I can go either left or right. The left is slightly lit, the right not so much. This makes me uneasy because I get the sense that one wrong turn in a place like this, and I'd be wandering for hours. Looking each way, I jerk my head right as I hear the unmistakable sound of someone walking. Footsteps. Did I really hear something? I wonder as my eyes strain to see anything. I wait a moment, but the sound doesn't come again. So those are my options. To the left are flickering lights, indicating that I'll at least be able to see. There's also a hum of machinery, a sign of life. To the right is just darkness, but I also heard footsteps in that direction. Do I go left, towards what seems like a safer option? Do I go right, to where the danger seems real? The answer to that, my friend, is danger. I decided to head right into the darkness. If there's anyone here they're worth speaking to, right it is. As I leave the glow of electric lights, things feel a bit more sinister. Also, the tunnel or hallway, or whatever it is, seems to widen up ahead. I wonder how Dennis is doing back at the logging site. I wince, remembering the blood around his side. The darkness I find myself in feels thick, like walking in syrup. I'm reminded of the fear I felt as a child when I had to go into the basement to fetch tools for my dad. I was sure there were snakes or spiders or monsters of unimaginable horror lurking down there. I feel that same way here, walking through the tunnel. That's when I see it, a human figure far back in the tunnel, silhouetted in the faint light at the end. He's standing on some other platform, likely can't see me. It looks like he might be holding a gun, but it's too dark to be sure. I can call out, "Hey, who's there?" Or I can stay quiet. I will stay quiet. This person might be dangerous. I do my best not to move. I watch as the figure looks back and forth down the tunnel. It's unclear if he's looking for something, or just as lost as I am. But he can't see him in the dark, and after a moment the figure rushes away through a door. Just as well. I don't want to reveal myself to anyone until I know more about where I am. As I head further into the tunnel, I reach another platform. I'm looking and trying to process where I am now, and I suddenly hear the rapid footfalls of someone running towards me. They're sprinting this way from the dark side of the tunnel, and fast. I can't see anything, but their footsteps echo towards me. After seeing that person with the gun a moment ago, I'm not sure if this person is armed as well. I realise I only have a few seconds before they'll be on top of me. We can hide and attack, or we can stand out in the open. I don't feel like attacking. I figure I might as well greet them like a civilized human being. There would be a better chance of getting answers that way. I step out into the light as they come closer and closer, and when they step into the glow of the platform, I can't believe my eyes. It's Dennis! Dennis, what the hell are you doing down here? I left you up at the login site. He stops running and stares at me, dumbfounded. "Oh my god, Roger, it's you. I'm so glad to see you in this godforsaken tunnel." "How did you get down here?" I ask. "And why are you down here? You didn't seem fit to move." He bends over and puts his hand on his knee, breathing heavily. I can see that the gash on his side is inflamed now. "It's not safe up there," he says, as though that explains everything. "I started running to get away and ended up here." "Why isn't it safe?" "I was waiting for you where we last spoke, and then I heard something in the woods. At first I thought it was a car radio, some crackling static, but it was much louder, like some kind of demon. It got louder and louder and freaked me out. I just started running. I fell into some kind of sinkhole. The damn ground just fell out from under me. I ended up in this weird hallway that led me to this tunnel." He pauses, as if evaluating whether he's just said is crazy or not. "Well, you're here now, and honestly, I'm glad to see you," I say. "What do you say we check out this platform and see if we can get some answers?" There's light coming from the platform, but like the overhead lights, they're dim, red emergency lights. I start to wonder if the explosion at the login site caused a power outage in this place, whatever this place is. The ringing noise that I originally thought was in my head is getting louder. I'm starting to think it's some kind of alarm. When we come to the large open area ahead in the tunnel, it further resembles a subway station. As much as I try to ignore the reality, it's undeniable. We have stumbled into some sort of high-tech transportation system that is buried beneath the forests of Kentucky. It makes absolutely no sense and creates an entirely new sort of fear as to what the hell we've walked into. I notice that Dennis seems confident though. When we reach the large opening, we have to climb over the rails and up onto the platform. I have to help Dennis over the rails and then up the small utility ladder that is bolted into the opposite side of the travelway. When he reaches the large open area resembling a subway waiting area, he collapses on the floor and lets out a heaving breath. "You know what?" Dennis says, exasperated. "This is ridiculous. I quit. I'm not going any further." On top of worrying about my crew and the madness of wherever we are, I'm not in the mood for Dennis to act like a baby. "Get up, pull it together, Dennis," or "It's okay, take it easy, you can do it. We're going to be supportive." I'm not the one with the gash on my side, I think to myself, so I decide to cut him some slack. Damn, boss, I'm sorry, he says. It's okay, I say. I don't know how you're still on your feet, if I'm being honest. Stubbornness? He says with a weak laugh. You need a minute to rest? I ask, as warmly as I can muster. No, if I sit down to rest, I'm afraid I might not get back up. Let's keep going while I still can. I reach down, help him to his feet, and then we get ourselves up onto the platform. Right in front of us, there's an entrance to a long hallway, exiting the platform area. It's at this point that I realise these red emergency lights might be on for someone else who's actually supposed to be down here. Like that guy I saw earlier, standing on the platform. Yell out or stay quiet. I'm still not sure if I want to alert anyone to the fact that there are strangers in this secret place, and the thought of hearing a scream, even my own scream, in this empty place is too much to bear. The emergency lights continue to flicker overhead, casting a sick sort of pinkish light on everything. My mind is racing with what sort of place this might be. It's obvious that it's meant to be a secret. And if it is supposed to be a secret, and there was a power outage recently, maybe most everyone has been evacuated. But why was that one person still there? This thought does nothing to make me feel any better as we walk towards the platform exit. We step inside and it seems just as empty as every other place where we've come through, weakly illuminated by more overhead emergency lights. We're standing inside a hallway that looks surreal for a moment. The hallway reminds me of a hospital wing, but there's something not quite right about it. It's the first clean and tidy area I've seen since coming up to the woods. It looks like it was recently in use, despite the dim emergency lights overhead. There are chairs against the wall and the floor looks well cleaned, as do the walls. The ringing noise is definitely coming from here, and a small flashing red light along the ceiling seems to flash along with it. That ringing noise is an alarm, I say, if only to confirm my own thought. What for what? Dennis asks, and then he asks the question that has been on my mind since I found the little building in the woods. What the hell is this place? We exchange a look that speaks volumes. Reach the end of the hallway and hear a sound like a large metallic grinding. This is followed by a clicking noise, and then the unmistakable noise of a generator kicking on. Without warning, the facility jolts to life. The red glow of the emergency lights is suddenly replaced by white, bright, fluorescent ones. That mechanical hum is oddly comforting. Somehow the power being back urges us on. It's then that I notice the ringing noise has stopped. So it had been an alarm. But for what? Just a power failure? We head down the hallway, the electric hum of the light sounding eerie overhead. Other than that, the place is dead quiet. The hall is about 100 feet long with two main doors. One door opens into a large room that looks like a conference room with a whiteboard and papers strewn about. Across the hallway, another door looks like a laboratory of some sort. Dennis slumps against the wall in defeat and lets out a scary sounding chuckle. Something funny? I ask as a dark and brooding panic starts to grip me. Dennis just keeps chuckling as he slides down to the floor. I'm just gonna sit here while you look around, he says. There's a look in his eyes that reminds me far too much of a dead animal on the side of the road. Enter the conference room, or enter the lab. A large table sits in the middle of the room, lined with a series of chairs. It looks like something straight out of a showroom. A well-used whiteboard hangs on the wall, and there are scattered papers on the desk. Look at the papers, or look at the whiteboard. A few things are scribbled on the whiteboard, mostly formulas and names, but there are some things that are easy to understand, things that make my blood go cold. Subject 6, cause of death, embolism or aneurysm, or both. Ideas for a new delivery mode, spherical, liquid, induced comatose state first, TerraCore Corporation, possible plutonium supplier. Most of the papers and printouts have codes and equations that go way over my head, but there are also handwritten notes that don't make me feel any better about our situation. I read through them and see scrawled notes that say things like, last experiment failed, overdose before transport, levels indicate cellular catabolism, more lead shielding in export suits, measurements make no sense, let Barksdale know about possible Higgs field fix. Outside in the hallway I hear Dennis grunting. I head out of the room to see him still seated on the floor. But I don't get very far, because as I exit a man comes rushing around the corner with an automatic rifle in his hand. It's hard to look beyond the rifle, but the man carrying it is young, with messy dark hair. His skin is so pale that I wonder if maybe he lives down here. He has the look of a guy who's been cooped up for a little too long. He doesn't seem like the kind of person I'd trust with a gun in a stressful situation. As he sees us in the doorway, he screams and brings the gun up. It's aimed directly at my head. Dennis jumps up and stands next to me like he's ready to run for it. I recognise him by his height and build. He's the person I could barely see back in the dark tunnel. Hands up. I put my hands in the air, surprised at how natural it feels to go into this surrendered state. Maybe it's because it feels like a dream. Maybe it's because I feel like I'll snap awake if the maniac pulls the trigger. Who are you? How did you get down here? The man asks harshly. Before we can answer, he continues speaking. I don't recognise you. If you're here, you would have had to sneak by the security mark in the entrance hall. What? I ask, unable to think of anything else to say. Who are you? The man asked. Did you do this? The man eyes us both, and I see something in his eyes that unsettles me. He's scared, but there's something else. We're just loggers. We're nobody. Don't shoot us. His eyes look distant for a moment, and then he says, Bullshit. But for some reason, I'm pretty sure he knows I'm telling the truth. Someone knocked the power out, the man says. It's back on now, but if it was out long enough, well, we're in a heap of trouble. Was it you? Who sent you? Look, we don't know what you're talking about, Dennis says. Something happened out in the woods. Are you alone? Are there others with you? The armed man asks, thrusting the gun in my face. How the hell did we get in this situation, I think to myself. If only I'd left that damn ringing noise alone, we wouldn't be here. I'm not really sure I want to give this guy information yet. We don't know anything about him. Then again, he might have answers. No, just us. We're looking for our crew. We have other crew members that we can't find, I say. Your crew? He asks, seeming confused. If this man thinks that we're nuts, there's no telling what he might do. The fact that he looks a little crazy himself makes the situation even hairier. Well, how'd you get down here? The man asks. I point down the hall towards the subway. We came in that way. The doors weren't locked. His expression calms a bit, but I'm still very aware of the gun that is levelled less than a foot away from me. Please put the gun down or grab his gun. You ask the man calmly to put his gun down. The only way I'm putting this rifle down is after I've blown your brains out, the man says. With that, he uses the muzzle of the gun to flip my hard hat onto the floor. It's a childish move, a playground tactic at best, but it's sufficient to show me that he knows he's in control now. He then levels the rifle at Dennis, and I can only assume it's because his wounds make him appear to be the weaker of us. The man takes a shaky step forward. Dennis looks back and forth between the barrel of the gun and me, his eyes pleading for help. Step between Dennis and the gun, or stay back? Before I'm fully aware of what I'm doing, I step out in front of Dennis. The barrel of the rifle is nearly touching my chest now. Both Dennis and the man seem a little confused at my action, and I do my best to swallow down my fear. I don't know what's going on here, I say, but we are here by mistake. Well, you've no business here, the man says, but now that the power is on, I think you might be too late anyway. For what? I ask, but he doesn't answer me. Instead, he steps forward and actually pushes me backward with the end of his rifle. The man then repeats the question he asked before, one that makes no sense and honestly makes me think he might be a little crazy. Who sent you? He asks. You assholes from the Pentagon? I'm not quite sure how to take this question. Is this guy joking? No, what the hell are you talking about? Yep, you got me, I'm the president. No, I say, we're just loggers. Something blew up and my friend got hurt. We're looking for the rest of our crew. Likely story, the man says, but I see a flicker of recognition in his face that makes me think he might believe me. Still, his grip on the gun is as tight as ever. The look on his face makes me think he'll shoot at any moment. You both just stand still, he says. Sooner or later someone will come along and I'll turn you over. He again thrusts the gun forward, as if it has an invisible bayonet on it. There's no need for that, I tell him. I have no guarantee that he won't pull the trigger. Look, Dennis says, we don't want any trouble. We're just as confused as you are. Then, in a moment so fast I just about miss it, Dennis lunges forward. I have no idea how he's moving so fast. Just 30 seconds ago I was worried about how close to death he looked. But now he's moving lightning fast, his left arm coming down on the barrel of the gun like a club. In the commotion, the man does pull the trigger. The booming noise is deafening and there's a moment where I think I've been hit. It takes the clanging noise of the round tearing into the floor at my feet to help me realise I have not been shot. I look to the floor and see where the shot missed my right leg by less than 3 inches. I'm paralysed, in shock for a moment as Dennis and the man fight over the possession of the rifle. There's a fire extinguisher on the wall I could use as a bludgeon, but I might not have enough time to grab it before Dennis is overpowered. Punch him. Dennis has the man pinned to the floor, but isn't strong enough to keep him down. As I fall to the floor for help, the barrel of the rifle swings right in front of my face, a reminder of how close I had come to being shot. On my knees now, I deliver a hard, stiff punch to the man's face. I don't punch someone often. Never, really. I'm not usually the brawling type. Still, it is apparently effective. The man's head snaps back hard and his grip on the gun loosens. Dennis grabs the gun and falls to the floor, clearly winded and in pain. Our attacker is immobilised and I can feel a shift in the situation. Yet, although he is basically harmless now, I feel the need to pummel him, a desire that builds with each second I look at him. Stand up and step back, or keep punching. You took it easy on the man. He's definitely out now, no threat. Or at least that's what I think. But he surprises me by mustering up one more swift kick in my direction, connecting with my forehead. My eyelid swells to the size of a grape almost immediately. It seems like the last attack is more to spite me than to defend himself. I stumble back and ready myself for another round of blows, but he just slouches onto the floor. He's done. Dennis instantly hands the rifle over to me and I take it with shaking hands. I can't believe you stepped between me and that gun, Dennis says. He could have killed you. I was pretty sure he wouldn't, I say, although I had no such thing. Still, thanks man, that was some heroic stuff. You would have done the same, right? Dennis says nothing, his eyes look to the floor. What do we do now, boss? Dennis asks. We've come this far and I want answers. I sense that Dennis does too. I walk over and pick my hard hat off the floor. After placing it on my head, I turn towards the man. We get answers from this guy. No answers, the man says. I don't have any. Next time, I won't just hit you, I say, plunging the rifle forward towards him. Now get up. He obeys quickly, but his legs are wobbly and he leans against the wall for support. I can feel my swollen eyelid from where he kicked me earlier. I just hope it doesn't get so bad that it affects my sight. Okay, let's move, I say, pointing the gun further down the hallway. We've come this far, and I'm not going to let this guy stop us. We walk down the hallway until we come to the end. A single elevator waits for us, its steel sliding doors larger than a normal elevator. Before I get into the elevator with this guy, I think it's wise to learn a bit more about him. I can tell it's making it uncomfortable for me to have the gun. What's your name? I ask. Marcus. And you work here? It's clear that he doesn't want to answer, but he gives us a little nod. We're looking for the rest of our crew. Any idea where they might be? I ask. No, he says curtly, not bothering to elaborate. There's got to be some useful info we can get out of this guy. I just need to know how to dig for it. I need a first aid kit for my friend here. I say, where might I find one? Down on the second floor, he says. But we can't go down there. He looks at me like I'm an idiot. You must be aware you're inside a classified government facility, he says. It makes sense, but I want to doubt it. Well, I'm sure our government would want you to help save my friend, so take me to the first aid kit. I can't, he says. You don't have the clearance. Hell, I barely have clearance. Then, seemingly to himself, he mutters, I make this place run. And not even a thank you, just a bunch of restricted access rooms that I'm only allowed to go into with a frigging chaperone. I interrupt his monologue. We're going to that first aid kit. I could lose my job, he says. I wonder for a moment what sort of trouble I could get in for hitting a government employee. This makes me glad I took it easy on him. Then again, he had come at us with a rifle. It makes me think that things might have gone terribly wrong in this place. And the explosion in the woods, or whatever the hell happened, might be linked to it all. I need to convince him to take us to the second floor, but I'm not sure it would be more productive to threaten him or to ask for sympathy. Ask for help. Look, I say, it hasn't been the best day. We're just trying to find out what's going on, to find our crew, to survive. I know that this is a normal situation down here. It looks like all your protocols have been blown to hell. Can't you help us out? He looks at me sternly, weighing his options. Okay, he says. Thank you, I say. With an untrusting stare, Marcus walks to the elevator door, approaching a small keypad by the doors. He punches in a numerical code on the keypad and we can hear a slight mechanical hum behind the steel doors. After a few seconds of angry glances and frightened sneers from Marcus, the elevator arrives. The steel doors slide open with a whisper, revealing the interior. It's exceptionally well lit and looks to be made of stainless steel. I half expect the thing to take off at the speed of light. There's another small keypad on the front right panel by the door with the options for 3 sub-level floors. Looks like this elevator doesn't go to the surface. So, After we get the first aid kit for Dennis, how do we get out of here? I ask. We can't leave, Marcus says. Once the power came back on, the whole place was put on lockdown. What? I shout. Can't you override it? No, it's to prevent anything from getting out. I can't. Marcus looks as deflated as Dennis. We can't get out. We're stuck here. Dennis leans into the corner and almost falls onto the floor. The struggle for the rifle took a lot out of him. I can see that much in his face. Slowly, we start to move down. The hum and grind of the car's motor still fills the space. What can you do? Or so we're stuck here forever. Marcus bristles at the question, but I think it's fair. I mean, he's not allowed to unlock the doors or even get medical supplies. Why keep a guy around who can't even grab a band-aid without permission? Without me, nothing would get done here, Marcus answers me. These people think they're brilliant, but some of them can barely turn their computers on without help. The top coder in my class at MIT, and I'm stuck living underground, helping idiots who don't even trust me with the keys. How big is this place, or what goes on here? What goes on here? Marcus shakes his head. You may as well shoot me. I can't tell you. Why not? It's beyond classified, and the things I know don't even cover the start of it. But what does that mean? I ask, starting to get irritated. It means that if I wanted to tell you what sort of work here is done, I don't know enough about it. What's your job? I handle the IT work and make sure the databases are up and running. It's a 24/7 job. I haven't seen sunlight in almost a year. I wonder what staying in a place like this for that long would do to someone's mind. I was recruited, he continues, because of the workload. No one else wants this job. I don't really mind being by myself, no family. Plus, the IT, it's some crazy shit. Crazy how? I ask. This place generates over 100 terabytes of data per day, he answers, getting the slightest bit excited before his face falls again. What happened here, or what knocked the lights out? What happened here? Seems like some sort of power outage, Marcus says. That's all I know. There was an outage and then what? Dennis asks weakly. Then things got weird. Things got bad. Bad how? I ask. The whole place seemed to shake when the lights went out. I was checking the monitors when it happened and everything went dead. It took no more than a minute or so before I started hearing the screams. People were being killed by something. I tried getting up the security cameras going again, but they only last for a little bit on my backup systems. But what I saw... What? I asked, feeling a sharp fear worm its way into my guts. Well, what I saw on the screens for that little bit of time made no sense. It made me get the gun from the emergency vault. I think whatever it is, it's still down here. Hold on, I say. There's an emergency vault with a rifle in the same room as the security cameras in this place. Marcus gives me a grin that looks nearly insane. There are guns loaded away in every room in this place. Just in case, you know. Just in case of what? Or so we're still in danger here? As he opens his mouth to answer, the elevator comes to a stop and the doors slide open. Marcus is out right away, without a word. He makes his exit and heads directly for the glassed-in room that is filled with computer monitors and high-end equipment. Dennis and I file out behind him, trying to keep up. As we do, one very alarming question runs through my head. What the hell kind of a government facility keeps loaded guns in emergency vaults in every single room? End of chapter 2. I had a couple of weird stutters there. So, curiosity. You and 42% of players stayed quiet when you saw Marcus in the tunnel. Yeah, I kind of figured, especially with the fact that the writing was kind of unclear about the gun issue. I felt that staying quiet would have been better. UN 64% of players stepped in front of Dennis to protect him from markers. Once again, first of all, Dennis is wounded, blah blah blah, and secondly, I know how games work. UN 65% of players were easy on markers after he surrendered. The writing made it seem like going hard on him would be somehow like a bad choice. Just like even beyond the fact that you're just pounding someone who is wounded, who is, you know, well, who's not wounded but who's subdued. Even above that, the writing made it seem like it would be some kind of surrender of yourself. But with that, we have crawled through the second chapter, slightly longer than the first chapter, which is good to see and interesting. Things are definitely heating up, so I'll catch you guys in chapter 3 next time. For now, goodbye.